Hello, hello, welcome to my safe space. My name is Lena, and on my channel, I talk about my childhood traumas and how they affected me in my adult life. In today's deep dive, I would like to talk about the reasons why I, a CSA survivor, chose to be child free. I'm a millennial, and for a lot of millennials, being child free is a conscious choice. So, I want to talk about the reasons why I chose to be child free specifically because it's not that I can't have children, it's not that my husband doesn't want to have children or anything like that. It's a conscious choice for both of us. Number one reason is I understand that the world is cruel. It was not nice to me when I was a child, when I was the most vulnerable, when I didn't have anyone to protect me, when I couldn't fend for myself. And the world was very cruel to me. I was abused, I was neglected, and I was just, this kid that I feel no one cared for. I literally grew up with this feeling that if I died, everyone would be happy. Like, no joke. I thought that if I were to disappear, everyone would have a sigh of relief. So the world is cruel, and I don't want to bring a child into the cruel world without their consent. That's the key point in this whole thing, is that I realize that I did not give consent to have my childhood the way it was. Nobody asked me if I wanted to have it. I was just brought into this world and forced to suffer all this trauma, all this neglect, the lack of love, the lack of care, the abuse that I talk about on my channel. All of that I did not give my consent to, and it's just impossible. I realize that for any person that is born, it happens to them without their consent. And this is something big for me. As a CSA survivor, not being able to give a consent is huge because I didn't have an option whether to be or not to be abused as a child. So not having an ability to give consent is a big deal breaker for me, naturally, because I know the consequences that I suffered due to my trauma and due to all the abuse that I was subjected to. So I know what it means. And that's why when I think about it and I start getting philosophical about having children, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me personally, that my child will not be able to consent to their life. What if they hate their life? And it might not be because of me. There might be bullying in school involved. I had that. I had gone through that a little bit. I was able to stand up for myself, but I can still remember that. What if they have some coach that is, being too nice or something like that? Like, yeah, I will be looking at signs. I'll be doing my best and probably be a mama bear and see signs where there aren't any because of what I've been through, and because I would be extra cautious and maybe too cautious and even paranoid about what goes on in other, I don't know, facilities or something where my child is, where I can't be. I'd be always paranoid about that. It's just because I couldn't protect my child from all of the harm. Like, yeah, I would try to do my best, but there's so many cases when children grow up in good families, they're not abused by their family members, but then turn around and they go to some summer camp or a football team or church or something like that, and that's where they become abused. You never know. So this is something that I no is the part of the cruel world that we live in, and I just don't want to take a risk and bring another person into this world who will have to suffer from something like that, or like even the chance, the slight possibility of it happening kind of kills it for me, like, because I know what kind of trauma it creates. I don't want even a slightest chance of that happening. You know what I mean? Like, that's how serious I am about how detrimental um, use is to children. And not only sexual, physical, emotional, neglect, all that, all those things. There is a lot of ways where a child's life could go wrong without you being able to do anything about it. Also, I'm afraid of failing as a mother because my mom abandoned me when I was 1.5 years old, and she never returned. She never seemed to have any remorse about it. And I don't know, did she know that she was going to do that? I don't know. Maybe she thought she was a great mom and it just happened that way. What if it happens to me? What if I have a child and I'm just like my mom? You know, genetics. Genetics play a big role. And I don't want to take a chance. I don't want to take a chance of having a child and then regret having it and being cold and just not wanting to be a mother. I will not know how I will turn out as a mother until I become one. But when you become one, it's too late. It's literally too late. It's not the child's fault. You know, what are you going to do then? What if you regret being a mother? Like, I just don't want to find out. I don't want my child to find out what it's like for me to play this mom thing and me trying and see, okay, let me just have a child and find out if I'm going to be a good mom or not. And like, why have a child at all in the first place? Because the society expects me to have a child because I have a vagina? That's not how it should work. Like, we're not animals. I shouldn't be expected to have a child just because I'm a woman. You know, it should be a choice. So I don't feel any pressure by family, of course, because I don't have any. I mean, my own blood family, like, I don't talk to anybody. I never felt any pressure from the society. I just don't care what they think, what they expect. I just don't care. So that's why I never had any, feelings of, okay, I have to do it because that's what everyone does. You know what I mean? So thankfully, I'm free of that kind of pressure. That choice lays on me and how I personally feel about this whole motherhood thing. And how I feel is that you have to want to be a mother to become one. And I don't want to. And I don't want to play a mother and be like, oh, let me find out what it's like. Maybe I'm going to like, I don't know what I'm missing. You know, that's the wrong way to look at it, because if you wonder what if you're going to like it, the chances, I feel like, the chances are pretty high that you're not going to like it. Child's feelings, child's emotional well-being, psychological health, livelihood, it's just too serious of a concept, to be messing around with, to be experimenting with. You have to be sure that you want to be a mother and that you're going to be a good mother and that you're going to have a good father beside you also, father for the child, of course. Maybe I'm just idealizing what a childhood should look like, but forgive me for wanting the best for my child. There is this fear in me that what if I cause my child significant trauma? It all relates to all of the things that I mentioned, that how I might turn out to be a bad mother, or like I will have regrets about having a child. I will possibly, I don't know, just be neglectful or something like that. Who knows? Who is there to say what kind of mother I'm going to be? Even I don't know. So that means that I could potentially cause significant psychological trauma to my own child. And I do not want that to happen. I just, again, like I don't want to take a risk. It's playing with fire. I don't want that. I don't want my child or any child at that point to suffer from psychological traumas of any kind. And I just made a conscious choice not to do that, not to take a risk. I would rather not try, and I would rather not find out if that's something I could or couldn't potentially do. I'm also afraid of not being able to provide. I didn't have the best of childhoods in terms of the resources I was provided. Even though I didn't necessarily grow up in the poor family, but my family acted like they were poor. You know, they lived a poor lifestyle. I don't know how to say it, but they chose to survive on the bare minimum at my expense also, especially at my expense. I grew up knowing what poverty was, even though we were not poor. Like, it's funny, but that's just the reality. And I don't want my child to live that life. I'm not saying I'm poor by any means, and I don't think that my husband and I wouldn't be able to provide to our child, but the way we live now, we're pretty privileged. We both have good jobs now, but things change. What if I have a child and I can't work anymore? We will now be on my husband's income only. And that means that he will have to carry me and the child on his shoulders. And having children is expensive. I feel like the goal of every parent should be to provide the childhood to their children that they weren't able to have. I don't want my child to have childhood worse than I did, that's for sure. I want them to have the childhood that I dreamed of having. I would probably manifest my childhood dreams into my own child, but like that's expensive. And I don't think we can afford that, especially on one income. So call me privileged or whatever, but I just don't want my child to have a childhood anything less than perfect. And finally, my own psychological health is not something that came to me easily. It's something I had to work on very, very hard. My psychological well-being fully depends on my internal work, constant work on myself, constant processing of my feelings, of my thoughts, and combing through negative thoughts and leaving only the positive thoughts, or at least trying to, and working on my feelings and my emotions. So all of that is hard work, constant hard work. And sometimes I wonder, is my psychological health holding on by a thread? What if I am as healthy as I am now only thanks to the fact that I can work on myself? I don't have another person to worry about. I don't have somebody else to care for and make sure that they're okay. I only have to worry about myself because my husband, he is an adult. He will worry about his own issues, you know, and he's a healthy individual psychologically. I don't have any worries about him. But if I had a child, suddenly it wouldn't be just me I would have to worry about. And worrying just about me is a lot of work, like I said. So bringing another person into my bubble, that would be a lot. And I don't know if I could handle that. So I'm worried about my psychological health if I suddenly had to worry about more than just me. I feel like if I had a child, I would break down. I feel like I would get depressed. I would probably have a postpartum depression. There's just no way back. Once you have a child, this is it. I'm not like my mother to give up my child and be like, well, I can just try, and if it doesn't work out, I will give them up to my parents. Like, no, that's not gonna work out. I'm not like that. I would never do that. But then again, what if I did? I think I wouldn't. But then if I was faced with the situation like my mother was, what if I did? Which is, again, another reason why I don't want to have children and take a risk, because what if I'm like her and I just don't know it yet? So yeah, those are the reasons why I don't have children, and I don't think I will. I have moments when I want to adopt a child because for the most part, I feel like I have enough love in my heart to give to a child. But why adopting is not because, oh, just because it's an adopted child, I wouldn't feel as bad if I failed as a mother. No, that's not the case. I would still want to be sure that I am capable mentally and financially of providing adequate care for my child, adopted or not. It's just that if I adopted, at least I wouldn't have a burden of having a child without their consent, because I wasn't the one who made that choice for them. Somebody else did. Somebody else made a choice for that person to be born, and I'm just here to take over and provide the rest, the love and the care. And my husband is okay about adopting, but we just don't know if we want to change our lifestyle drastically like that. I mean, I guess it's selfish, but we just don't want to regret it. We really don't want to regret it. It's not fair to a child or us. So here are my thoughts, my feelings about being a mother. I don't know if you guys can relate. Drop a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you feel. If you're a CSA survivor, especially, tell me how you feel about having children. And if you have children, how did that turn out for you? Maybe it turned your life upside down, and having a child healed you in such ways that you didn't even expect for it to happen. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about this whole thing, and maybe having children, if you're mentally unwell, is a good thing. I don't know. I don't feel like it is, but maybe it is. Who knows? Maybe having a child heals. Like, I mean, it's not a fair comparison, but like with my dog, the first year I had all these doubts and regrets, but then it's been 11 years, and I am convinced it's the best decision I ever made, having a dog. So maybe the same thing happens when you have children. I'm not a mother, I wouldn't know. So if there's something that happened to you, please share in the comments. I would be interested to find out what it's like. Thank you for coming to my safe space. I hope this video was maybe not helpful, but interesting for you to watch. And if you want to see more, you can watch a video right here, for example. And yeah, thanks for coming, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.